Shout out to Patrick Gibson for being able to say not a problem in only the way that Dexter can. Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Did It. If you haven't already, go ahead, like, share, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know. I'm a little behind with both Silo and Dexter this week because life. For those of you who don't know, I live in California, specifically Pasadena, California. And so those of you who are aware of what's happening in the news, we are under a bit of a war zone with all the fires that are happening. My place is safe outside of living in smoky conditions, but I have quite a few friends who have lost their homes, lost some loved ones. So send my best to all those who have, but just know that is why things are behind. That is also why I'm going to delay. I can't release 2 videos on the same day. Just algorithm-wise, it just doesn't work for a small channel like me. So Dexter will be first on Sunday today, and then tomorrow I will put up Silo. I'm sorry for my Silo fans who've been watching Silo with me, but those are just going to have to be a bit behind. We're here at episode 6 of Dexter Original Sin. It is called The Joy of Killing. A lot of things that I sort of saw the tea leaves for started to kind of rear their head in this episode, namely the Captain Spencer piece of it all and his kid. I knew that could sort of see that was coming from a mile away, and so that happens in this episode. So we start the episode off with Captain Spencer's kid, Nikki, and his wife, his estranged wife, Becca, packing and going like on a road trip or something. Nikki can't hear because he has his headphones in. He's all locked in his game gear. But there's an intruder that comes in, knocks out Becca, ties her up, and then kidnaps Nikki. And so they're off to the races. The thing that I said was going to happen, he has been stolen, similar to how the judge's kid was stolen and kidnapped before. They did a thing at the beginning of the episode where they show sort of all the information that you kind of need to have to digest this episode. They hit home the message that Captain Spencer sort of gave out to the media saying, hey, you'll be punished. I will find you. How hard he hit that. This is sort of the chicken's coming home to roost from his sort of statement to these people. We go back and we see Deb and Dex sort of talking, and Deb is saying, hey, I want you to go on a double date with me and Gio with you and Sophia. She goes into his room and starts sort of like trying to find clothes. He quickly rushes in there because he's like, I don't want you to find memorabilia and totems that I have. So go ahead, ease up out my closet. But she's trying to put together an outfit for him to, as she would say, I just need you to be normal on that day. Can you do that? He's like, not a problem. And the most typical, if you've ever seen any of the Dexters before, him saying that, you're like, huh, feels like home, like a warm robe. At that point, Harry and Dex have to head out for a crime scene. They get a call. They go to a crime scene with LaGuardia, who LaGuardia immediately clocks to Harry, like, hey, you got demoted, so that's why you are scumming it down here with me with these cases. And Harry's like, I'm just here to help. He's like, I'm not going to go into any of that. I'm just here to help. We then see at the crime scene that Dex gets to Dexing and doing his hypothesis. He watches the crime scene, sort of plays it back in his head. And he hypothesizes that this murder scene is the same as the 2 murder scenes that he had before. One, the one of the on the beach, and the one that happened in like the, I guess, cement parking lot structure area. He's saying that they're all connected. Harry points out that like they're not the same MO, like they're not killed in the same way. And Dex tells him, well, I think he's figuring out what method he likes to use. Similar, it's a parallel to what Dex is doing kind of right now. He's learning what works for him. He's learning which kill he likes to do best. And so in this one, this guy put a piece of bag over someone's head, tried to suffocate them, gave them a bit of an air passageway, and then put another bag over to suffocate them more so he could watch the death leave their eyes. Dex can kind of see, oh, he's trying to figure out what works. And he's evolving. And sort of like Dex has evolved into this new version with using the drug to knock people out, all that stuff. He is sort of figuring out what it is he's going to use in his toolkit to go on to become a serial killer. LaGuardia dismisses it, although we learn that she actually heard it. She kind of just didn't want Dex pretty much to get the credit for it, but she dismisses it. It's like, I don't believe that theory. And Harry tells him, like, leave the detective work to the detectives. You just do the blood spatter stuff. We get a flashback of Laura and Harry making love. Like, it's not, they're not just doing sex, and they're like intimate. They are looking each other in the eyes. It's clearly a romantic piece. Again, as I said before, to a point where it's clear that Harry has not been getting romance at home. All his sex with Doris has been clinical. With Laura, he actually feels something. There's something that he to be had here, which he should not be having because it is his CI. Laura starts kind of feeling like the dirty person in this relationship. She's like, "Look, I've never thought I would be the other woman in this. I need to get out of this. This needs to end. We need to stop doing this, but I don't mean just for sex. I need to get out of this CI stuff. Like, how much longer do I have to do this?" And Harry is like, "You'll be off the hook soon enough. We will get you out of here." And it feels like Laura kind of like, I think you're stringing this along, not because necessarily you need more evidence against Estrada. I feel like you're stringing this along because you don't want to lose whatever this is. We learn that she's been doing this for about a year now. She says what has to be for me the coldest line that I've heard anybody say in quite some time. But after they have a little tiff, she's like, "Well, go home to your wife." That's a wild ass statement to say to somebody you just banged out. Dex goes to the precinct to get a little bit more evidence on Levi. Like, that's going to be his next target, his next person. He goes to get some more evidence, and as he's getting that, Sanders sort of catches him, getting some information. He quickly dismisses it, and it's at that point that Sanders gets a call from someone. We don't know who it is, but someone is giving him the heads up that Captain Spencer's kid has been kidnapped. And then quickly he gets that news to him, but at the same time, Becca and her new guy come in, and a blame game sort of happens between Captain Spencer and the new guy, which apparently the new guy is not that new. He's been banging out Becca for 14 years. Aaron tries to get Captain Spencer, tries to get information from Becca to sort of see what if she could find out any specific details about the assailant or the person who kidnapped. One, she's in a bad way. It came from behind. He was had a mask on. But two, Aaron really shouldn't be the person that's doing this interrogation. But LaGuardia and Bobby are sort of standing back, letting him take the lead on it. But he shouldn't be doing this. There's just too much weight, and it almost feels, as much of an interrogation he's trying to get facts, it almost feels like a blame. Like, why didn't you do these type of things? And she is just not doing well. He realizes that he's pushing a little too hard for her, and he kind of just gives her a kiss on the forehead. He's like, "Don't worry, we will find them. This isn't on you. We will find them." Captain Fincher's in a bad way. Harry checks in on him just to see how are you doing, and Aaron says, like, "Look, were it not for the mayor's orders, you'd be my first man up, my right hand man to go in on this case, but I can't." And Harry's like, "I understand. I'm just checking to see how you're doing mentally." We get to see Dex doing a little bit of his reconnaissance on Levi. He's stalking him. He's watching him at a club. He's watching sort of his mannerisms and how he picks up women, what he does to like court and date and learn. He's sort of putting them in his mental Rolodex. He even has a little overview saying, like, "Does this stuff actually work?" And then he sees Levi take the girl to the bathroom and have sex with her. And he's like, "Well, I guess it does." And he's following him mainly because he's seeing that, okay, Levi is a creature of habit. He does the exact same thing routinely every night, and he always pretty much goes up to a point and pees. So he figures that that's going to be the spot where, all right, when we get to this point of the night, that's when I'm going to make my move to apprehend him and subdue him. We see Harry being boxed out of any of the Nikki investigation. But he's sort of looking on like a lost puppy dog, like, "Oh, I want to be where the people are." He's very much wants to be in that room. And you can tell that it bothers him. Dex comes to him and kind of just says, like, "Look, we have about 10 days left to find Nikki." And Harry's like, how do you know that?" He's like, "Well, this is just like the Powell case." And Harry's kind of like, "You don't know that these are the same thing." And Dex is like, It's the same damn thing." But Harry's pretty much like, they won't get that far to where we have to worry about collecting Nikki's body parts or seeing him hanging from a rope. We get another flashback where, and the funny thing, Bobby's sort of trying to connect with Harry about his kid that's coming. He's like, "Man, I hope you get a boy." And Harry's like, "Yeah, cool. I'm not really listening to this. I don't really care about this. How's my girl doing? She's on a wire. How's she doing?" He doesn't really want to have a conversation with Bobby about the kid. You can tell why the relationship that he has with Deb is the way that he is. he was sort of checked out by this point. And yes, he was shooting for a boy, so once it becomes a girl, which we'll see a little bit later, his reaction is not the best. Laura's wearing a wire, and she makes it to the scene where she meets with people that she's supposed to meet with. They take her to a back room and show that they have Alfredo, who's somebody that Laura has sort of been working with, hemmed up, tortured, tied to a chair. And they tell her that, like, we found out that he was skimming money off the top. He was stealing from us. You better not be doing the same. And so they cut off a finger of his in front of her, and pretty much threaten Laura. It feels like she is about to be found out, to the point where Harry's about to just blow up the whole operation because he's so in love with her. Like, his police work is leaving for his remote relationship work. Um, he's about to go out there and go try to save her and blow up everything. And Bob's like, hold on, wait a minute. No, they just offered her a promotion. And they're like, okay, stand down. But he was about to risk it all to save his side piece. Like, he was ready to do this. Deb, Dex, Geo, and Sophia all go on their double date. And it is going about as well as you expect a date with Dexter to go. He is awkward as hell. He's complimenting people's teeth. He's sitting next to Deb instead of sitting next to Sophia. He is eating. Once Gio says that, hey, the food's on me, he orders a ton of food, not anything for Sophia, and just goes to town. He's eating like a horse because, we always see that Dexter has a ravenous appetite. He's just eating, eating, eating. Yeah, it's very sort of awkward. And then he gets to a point where the only thing that he can sort of connect is he gets really excited about talking about a murder scene. And he's just going into great detail, much more graphic detail than anybody at this table cares to hear. And they're kind of like, what the hell? And then he quickly switches like, hey, play darts. There is a little bit of moment of a connection that happens with the darts thing, mainly because Dex uses what he sort of learned in his mental Rolodex from Levi to say, hey, I saw, because Sophie is terrible at darts, but he saw what Levi was doing to sort of teach a girl at the bar how to do darts, and he does the same with her. She nails it. There's a bit of a, oh, cool, thanks, Dex. And you could see that she takes more from it than he does. He's basically like trying out tricks of the trade to see if this stuff works. He's just sort of like a collector of what am I learning, but it has no real emotional connection to him. She's kind of like, that was great. To the point where she puts his arm around her to sort of like continue that on, and she takes his arm and puts it on her boob. It's like, hey, no, you can go ahead and fill me up. At that point, the Dexter's like, I gotta go pee. He goes to the bathroom, goes to go pee. She follows him and orally pleases him, makes him a happy man. Right before Dex and Sophia go to the bathroom, it is important to know that Geo has a bit of it's important to clock his reaction to somebody who spills a drink on Deb. And he says sorry, but it's a sort of a throwaway sorry. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. And then just keeps going. And Geo is not taking that as a response. And he lays into the kid enough to tell the kid, basically, I need you to no longer be in my face and leave the store. He then turns around and says, nobody messes with my girl. It is clear in this moment that he has both anger issues and control issues. But it's because it's in the environment that it was sort of to defend Deb. No one's really batting an eye at it. But it's going to be a point where that might get turned at Deb, and all hell's going to break loose. Dex is going to probably have to handle that. That's it. When Dex and Sophia come out of the bathroom, Deb and he have come up with this plan to go steal Tiffany, her rival's car, and go joyriding and basically leave it on the beach. So they do that. And then while Geo and Deb are dropping off the car on the beach, Dex is taking Sophia home. She's kind of like likes the night. She's like, I like you. Throws him a kiss, and she asks, like, am I going to see you again? Like, what are you doing tomorrow? Can I see you again? And Dex is like, no, I can't. And his overlay says, I can't because I got to go murder someone. But he says, I'm in a bowling league. She's like, well, what are you, 45? Like, how are you, a middle-aged man? She still believes that there's a relationship coming here. And he's like, I'm doing this to pretend that I have a normal life. But relationships are getting in the way of my true nature, my true desire, killing people. LaGuardia sees that Harry's like, just keep looking at the bullpen where everybody's talking about the Nikki case, like a puppy dog, and says, like, look, I see that you're longing for that, but get your head back in the game of what we're doing. Dex may have been onto something. These three cases may be connected because they're all people that nobody would miss if they were taken off the board. Nobody's really checking for these people to be gone. There may be some pattern happening to who is selected. I mean, even though they haven't figured out how to do it yet, Dex might be on to the right thing. We then have a flashback where Harry meets up with Laura with Alfredo's finger in tow, and she's freaking out. She's like, I want out. Take me out. Pull me out. I don't want to do this anymore. I am done. Harry tries to console her, like, look, I got you. You're protected. You're going to be fine. No harm is going to happen to you. Laura's kind of like, you think you're some shining knight. Like, she starts rubbing dirt on him. Like, you think you're some shining knight. Like, you came and saved me. You gave me this opportunity. You saved me. But you're just, at this point, you're kind of just using me. Using me to have sex, using me to get away from your wife, using me like I'm gaining nothing from this relationship at this point. And you're not as good as you are thinking in your head that you are. She even kind of like let them like, hey, you're gonna let your wife know about me? To that point, the Bobby comes in like, we got to go. Wife's having a baby, so he gets to the hospital and sees that it's Deb. She tells him it's a girl. The reaction he has to it being a girl, not so hot because he wanted a boy to sort of replace Harry Jr. But he's kind of like, oh, okay. And he's like, I'm a daddy. At that point, the Doris kind of checks him like, real quick. The girl you banging, I don't know who she is or whatever you're doing, but it needs to stop. You're daddy now again, so I'm aware of it. I allowed it, but cut it out. And he's like, okay, I will stop that. I will cold turkey it. We shall see, because we know already how good Harry is at stopping his urges. Dex plans to make his move, so he follows Levi again. He's following through his pattern, his normal pattern. He runs into Spencer, who is at a gay bar. Dex either doesn't clock it or care. Spencer's very concerned, though. You can tell that Spencer's like, oh crap, he's going to go back and tell the precinct. He's probably going to over share with Dex, like, hey, don't everybody let anybody know. But Dex was not either clearly was not cognizant and didn't put the context clues together to care, or B, he was so focused on Levi that even if he did, he's like, whatever, I got to go murder this dude. So he keeps going. He does the whole capture him at the P spot. This P spot. There's a weird thing of putting the needle in his shoulder blade as opposed to sneaking up behind him in the neck, because he gives him the heads up, basically. He says something to him before he then turns around and then stabs him, as opposed to just sneaking up on him and doing it. But then we get to see Dex do his kill room. Doing his kill room, he's setting everything up. And then he starts explaining to Levi, hey, you're the one responsible for this, and this is why I'm here. He lets him know that, Harry Morgan, the person that you got off from and did everything, I'm his son. And he was like, oh, so you're doing this on behalf? He's like, well, my dad actually was going to come kill you the night after you were released. That's not in him. That's not who he is. But it's 100%. I'm about that life. I will murder you. Like, I will do this in a heartbeat. Starts taking some of the photos out. Like, why would you kill these people in blood? He starts laughing hysterically. Look, I still am standing by the fact. I don't think Levi did this. It's clear that Levi is a serial killer because he lets on is like, you're just like me. He tells Dex, like, you're just like me. You're no different than I am. And Dex is like, well, I have a code. I'm only killing people who are not innocent. You are killing innocents. We are very different. We are not the same. That's sort of what has allowed Dex to sort of do this and allows him to do it throughout the multiple seasons that we go forward until he starts killing people that are innocent. But here, Levi doesn't do a direct connection to say that he is the one that killed that family. So I am still of the belief that alibi that woman gave was actually accurate. And so I think what's going to happen, Dex is never going to feel remorse about the fact that he kills him, because he does successfully. He kills Levi. He's never going to feel remorse about the fact that he killed Levi. But Harry might feel something about, hey, I gave the okay to kill Levi, and he wasn't the guy. Dex would be like, well, he was bad. He definitely killed people. It may not have been this one, but it was going to happen again at some point anyway. At the briefing the next day for Nikki, for Captain Spencer's kid, Tyne's like, we have no evidence. There's nothing at the crime scene. There's no trace of evidence. Nothing is there. We're starting from ground zero. And Captain Spencer's sort of freaking out. Kind of like, look, this is just like the Powell case. That means we have a certain amount of days. And everybody's sort of walking on eggshells about what is to come, about like a finger being sent to him and about him being killed. They're all sort of walking on eggshells. Captain Finch's like, let's just call it what it is. Like, we know what's about to happen. Let's use that to our advantage because we're running out of time. He goes to his office. Harry follows him, and they both commiserate a little bit about what's going on, have some drinks. They have a heart to heart about being dads, about being fathers. And it's sort of the first time you get a little bit about Harry saying, you always worry about your kid. You always worry about your son. You're always trying to keep them safe, even though they have to go out there and live their life. You're always in the back of your head, sort of worrying about what it is that they're going to get into. While that is happening, Dex is busy disposing of Levi's body. As he makes his way to his dumping ground spot, he gets stopped. There's police everywhere. Normally, had this been in the original series where I don't know what's happening next, this would freak me the hell out. Not as concerned here because I'm like, oh, Dex will be fine because no one knew who he was at this by the time we get to the origin series. But here, we know that the body of the 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 bookie, I can't remember his name at the moment. It's not Mad Dog because that was the third one. His second victim, his body rose up, or his hand did. And so they start filing all the body PR parts that sort of exist. And so, yeah, one, his dumping ground spot is hot. He's here pulling up to this area with all these cops with the body in his trunk. And so that is how we end the episode. Really good episode. I will say that this series, far more than I think New Blood did, feels more of an akin to what we expect from Dexter. I think the one thing that it has going against it is that it's a prequel series, and so sometimes a lot of the things that would create tension don't. Like this ending on that cliffhanger doesn't do anything for me because I know none of that matters. It may be cute to sort of see how Dexter gets out of it. That's cool, but we know he's not in any sort of real trouble here. I still am iffy on the flashbacks. I don't know what it is that they're trying to get us to learn out of them. I'm assuming at some point in time that we would have to meet the therapist because that therapist, if it's who I think it is, becomes a very integral part of the final season of Dexter. But I don't know what it is they're trying to get us to teach us about Harry. This feels like now we're just getting all of the things, the stories that we had in the multiple seasons, sort of put into one season to tell us who Harry was as a person. But I think the saving grace for everything that's happening here is that these performances are great. The look and feel and style of everything is working. These guys feel like the younger counterparts to whoever they were playing in the original series. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm a sort of a sucker to see Dexter grow from the novice to being the Bay Harbor Butcher, if you will. What did you guys think about this episode called "The Joy of Killing"? Leave your thoughts and comments in the comments below. I think my two outstanding theories that still need to play out is Tanya and her gambling addiction is going to come back and rear its head. They don't tell us that for nothing. That's going to come back at some point to bite us. And of course, Gio is going to do something to Deb that sets Dex off. I guess my third one is I still stand by that Levi ain't the person who did this. And some guilt is going to come back to Harry, not to Dex, in relations to setting him on that path. But those are my thoughts. Go ahead and leave your thoughts and comments in the comments below. If you haven't already, you can follow us on X at Hollywood80i. You can hit us up on email at HollywoodAlreadyDidIt@gmail.com. We also have a podcast with the same name. That's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, any other place podcasts. We're there. And like always, I got my ticket. You got yours.